Thought it might be nice to do an updates thing because I haven't really spoken to you about anything other than film for a while. This month I made a film at uni, which I mentioned in my video on my main channel that I don't really like my uni and I don't really like the course that I'm on. The course is very slow. The film we made this month was the second thing that we've made overall, and I've been here for 5 months. So there's also nothing to do in the town. I don't know, it's just not that great. It's not the worst, but it could be better, which is why I've applied for other places, but I'm still not sure whether or not I'm going to go there or stay here. But anyway, so this project, we each had to direct a 30-second sequence of a film, which is a terrible idea. Just so bad. Another part of the course that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, the projects are just like, what? So I didn't really want to be involved in it particularly because I knew it would be a terrible time, and I am not very good at separating my self-worth from the things that I make. Like, I knew that if I threw myself into it and then it was inevitably bad, I would feel terrible. So I didn't want anything to do with it, and I let other people take the reins. The script we ended up with was by a guy in my group who is a mature student, and it was about a guy who drives criminals to their crimes in his taxi, and he picks up a guy who kills a kid, so the driver kills him. So despite him being a mature student, his script was very, like, cliche student film. I didn't want to get involved. The rest of my group liked it, so we went ahead with it. This was before Christmas. Over Christmas, the guy who wrote it was looking for, like, permissions and everything and getting all the paperwork sorted out, and then our tutors cancelled it. Because there's so many of us on our course, they split the year in half and we do everything one after the other. So the other half of the year had already filmed their films, and because there were so many violent kids, cars, guns type of films, they changed the criteria so that we weren't allowed kids, cars or guns. So our film was cancelled. This was over Christmas, so nobody else wrote a script. It was a week before we had to go to our meeting where we were supposed to give all of our paperwork and be completely ready to shoot for that weekend, and nobody else had written another script. So I wrote one because no one else was writing one. And I didn't want to be involved. Half of us replied to it saying they liked it. The other half said nothing. We showed up to the meeting where we were supposed to have everything completely ready, and we hadn't even picked the script yet. The mature student spent the entire session complaining that his script got cancelled. When it came to discussing my one, he said, "Yeah, I read your script. I thought it was really funny. It wasn't meant to be though, was it?" Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Rude. He then nominated my house to film in, which I didn't want to do, and then kind of disappeared to do the paperwork. Didn't really speak to anybody for about a week. This is a very detailed account, but I feel like they're all very important details because this guy, when we finally did hear from him, it was at a meeting that he called, and he told us all that he thought that we should turn it into a Christmas film because then it would be easier to light because we could put up a Christmas tree and a load of Christmas lights. Pretty sure the rest of us completely disagreed, but I was the most vocal about it. I was still polite. I just said, I see what you mean about it being difficult to light, but I don't think it serves the plot for it to be a Christmas film, and I think we should find another way. And he said, yeah, no, doesn't necessarily have to be a Christmas film. I'm just saying that if it was a Christmas film. And we went back and forth like that for ages until I said, I'm confused because you keep saying that it's fine for it not to be a Christmas film, but then insisting on it being a Christmas film. And he looked so angry, but whatever. It wasn't a Christmas film. I forgot something important. We have to write up these like group working agreements, which are, I feel like they're very juvenile, and I just, whatever. He was typing it up and he passed it around for everyone to sign, and then when he got it back, this was right after I had been like, I'm confused, like, you keep saying it doesn't need to be a Christmas film, etc. He added a sentence and then passed it to me across the table and went, Sana, could you just proofread this for me, please? And he had added a sentence about being respectful to each other. He didn't show it to anyone else, just to me, and I was across the table. He literally passive-aggressively told me that I was being disrespectful. Okay. The next meeting was even worse. So we all have to direct a 30-second sequence. My sequence was right after his, and he started the meeting by letting me know that it didn't make sense to split the script where we had split it, and that he needed the majority of my section. Please bear in mind that I was deliberately very, very calm every time I spoke to him because I knew that he was the sort of person that would use it if I got emotional about it. So I was very calm and very rational about all of this, I promise you. I was explaining why that was a good place to split the script. And he said, listen, I've been making films for 7 years, okay? And he kept telling me to stop getting so upset when I deliberately, consciously was not getting upset. He also tried to argue with me about the layout of my own kitchen. He was insisting that there was a cupboard somewhere that there wasn't, and when I told him that there wasn't, he said, no, yes, there is, and I was like, I live there. And he was showing me all these photos that didn't show the part of the kitchen that he was talking about, and went, no, look, see, there's a cupboard there. And I was like, I live there. Whatever. Frustrating, but not an enormous issue. But then I tried to schedule in 2 days that we could film because we couldn't get it all done in one day. That was just not going to happen. He cancelled the second one and insisted that we would get it all done in one day, and our shoot ended up being 16 hours long. When we got to film his section, we had already been filming for 10 hours. My housemates hadn't been able to use the kitchen for 10 hours. Nobody had eaten, everyone was exhausted, and we had been shooting his 30-second sequence for 2 hours. So myself and a friend in my group were sort of off to the side complaining about it. It wasn't great. I regret that. It was a bit petty of me to be standing there complaining about him while he was filming, but it just took him so long. And also, I paid for everyone's food. I bought pizza for 8 people, and he was very happy to not chip in for that. When I suggested getting pizza, he was like, I just don't know if we can fit it into the budget. And I was like, what budget are you talking about? Like, this is a student film and we need to eat. Like, this is, oh my God. Oh. A few days after the shoot, he called a meeting in the group chat and was very insistent that everybody needed to be there, which he had never insisted on before, but he was very, very adamant that it was a really important meeting and everybody needed to be there. So I showed up. 2 of us weren't there because they overslept, which I'm really glad about because they were the 2 people that I actually really like from my group, so I'm glad they weren't there. But anyway, he called this meeting to shout at me for being disrespectful and undermining him on set. Cool. He also reported me to the tutors for being disrespectful, and they didn't really care. They were like, sort it out yourself. You know, it's not great to have a 33-year-old man trying to make a big show of shouting at you in a public place in front of your peers. That's just bad. He also tried to say that it wouldn't be appropriate for me to edit the film anymore. And, like, at this point, I had written it was at my house, and someone else had nominated me to edit it. I knew that I would do the best job because nobody else had any experience editing. And I was already invested. So I wanted to edit it, and he tried to take it off me. Essentially, he's a nightmare, and I'm really glad I don't have to work with him anymore. I don't know if this was an interesting story at all, but oh my God. The film turned out pretty bad. I didn't really like it, because the mature student, I've tried to avoid saying his name, decided that the film was a drama instead of a comedy, when it was blatantly a comedy. I'll give you the film and the script, and you can see. Because some people directed it as a drama and some people directed it as a comedy, and it just doesn't work. And it was graded really badly. A lot of the scenes are shot in a way that doesn't make sense. I don't think the plot comes across very well. I just don't think it's good at all. And I am upset about it, and I knew this would happen, and I've been talking for way too long. I'm going to stop now, but that's just a fun anecdote from my recent life. Hope you guys are well. I'll see you soon.